Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Tech Talks Daily, your hub for intriguing insights into the ever-evolving world of technology. I'm your host, Neil C. Hughes, and today we're about to take a deep dive into the intriguing world of corporate venture capitalism and FinTech innovation. And joining us today is Thorsten Neumann, the technology overseer at SC Ventures, which is a venture capital and ventures incubation arm of the Standard Chartered Bank. So Thorsten has found himself in this truly exciting role because SC Ventures is aiming to foster innovation within the group, leverage network effects, and deliver intrinsic value to the bank's ecosystem, all while incorporating promising fintech solutions that incumbents would find challenging to implement. But I want to learn more about his story, the work that he's doing, and what the road ahead looks like. So today, I've invited Thorsten to help me unravel the unique role that SC Ventures is playing within that Standard Chartered ecosystem and the merits of investing in new technologies and innovative business models in collaboration with fintechs, and of course the emerging trends in the venture capital landscape that he is seeing. But enough from me. Buckle up and hold on tight, because today, no matter where you're listening to me, I'm going to be beaming your ears all the way to Singapore, where Thorsten is going to help us gain some insider insights into the future of fintech innovation. But enough from me. Let's get him on the show now. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Thorsten. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you, Neil. Thanks for having us on the show today. Calling in from Singapore. It's kind of mid-afternoon. So my name is Thorsten, and I oversee all things technology at SC Ventures. So just to give context, prior to this, I've founded and co-founded startups in the financial services space. So really, as kind of an entrepreneur, this has allowed me to bring new perspectives and experience into supporting our venture building here at Standard Chartered Ventures.
Well, from the wonders of technology, I'm here in the UK, you're talking to me in Singapore, and we have people listening in 165 different countries. And I'm conscious that there will be a few people listening, hearing about SC Ventures for the very first time. So would you mind providing a bit of an overview of what SC Ventures is and its unique role within the Standard Chartered Bank ecosystem and how it fits into the larger strategy of the bank?
Absolutely. And, we're in such a global connected world nowadays.
Yeah.
There's a lot of news and a lot of noise, and I'd love to share to the audience a bit about what we do. And maybe for context, Standard Chartered Bank itself is a 160-year-old plus bank today in 59 countries with almost close to 100,000 employees. We at SC Ventures are the innovation arm of the bank, but of course not to claim that innovation is done only here, but really being that catalyst for change, catalyst for growth. And we're in the business and primarily focused on building new businesses. Now, that sounds perhaps a bit novel for a bank to claim that they're kind of building out new business models, but we're really a corporate venture arm that looks to transform the financial ecosystem. And our tagline is rewiring the DNA of banking. That banking is not specific to just Standard Chartered, but banking at large. And so my role here really at Standard Chartered Ventures is threefold, in that I work closely with the tech team to assess what is available and what solutions are fit for purpose, and work with these innovators and entrepreneurs that we bring into building these business models and help them execute on these technology projects. And I've got a build team, right? I've got a specialist solution architects, engineers with experience that come in and accelerate these ventures to take shape. Secondly, we've got an investment team, and they invest in external startups and growth stage companies. And we look to help them identify disruptive technologies so that we can invest and add to our portfolio. And that really means, we might do a lightweight assessment and look at, that startup's agility and tech sophistication and novelty. And of course, thereby identify those high potential startups with a leading edge in technology and cybersecurity capabilities. And maybe more related to our bank itself is we're looking to work closely with the bank, which we do day in and day out through all the stakeholder engagement and knowledge sharing, knowledge transfer, tools transfer with the bank to promote an internal transformation. And I think that's all very exciting for for something that obviously is operating at quite a scale, but we have the right platform, I think, to drive that and have real impact.
Well, there are just a few of the many reasons I invited you on the podcast today, because when I was doing a bit of research on you, a few of the things that stood out for me was how at SC Ventures, you seem to have many different roles, from being an investor, a builder, and an accelerator, and technology backing all of those different roles up too. So can you possibly provide some examples of how these roles complement each other?
Great question, Neil. And I think it is really the sum of the parts that allows us to realize maximum value from this activity. If we were just an investor taking minority positions in startups, we might as well be investing in any sector and really just getting access. But look, we primarily be motivated by financial return. If we complement this with our entrepreneur program, we're saying, well, there's a lot of smart people in the bank that have ideas, that want to improve the customer experience, that want to improve on the way that we do business. Well, why don't we actually allow them to execute POCs and engage these startups, identify those that are superior, and thereby effectively validate to us that we should be investing in these startups. So I've highlighted here that not only do we invest, but we also collaborate closely with our entrepreneur program. If we now look at that from the venture building perspective, we have these startups that we're building in-house. They, of course, need to connect and work with the startup ecosystem, be it new cloud services, be it APIs, be it integrating with other FinTechs. And again, we broaden that conversation. And so it is really the fact that we're kind of running these three kind of complementary activities at scale that then realize benefits in shapes and forms in ways that we had not prior expected. And this is where I think we're seeing this also visibly recognized in the market, as opposed to perhaps other institutions and other corporates in other sectors who might just do one or two, but almost seldom all three of these activities.
And if we were to zoom out for a moment, I'm curious, what are the strategic benefits for Standard Chartered Bank in investing and also co-creating with FinTech startups rather than going on their own and competing with them? I'm curious what the strategic benefits are here.
Yes, okay. Well, it's certainly curious, as it's obviously hard to do what we're trying to do here. But the strategic benefit is really summed up in this phrase of creating optionality for the bank. What that means is we're somewhat looking towards the future and saying, well, financial services is in any way getting more and more commoditized. The channels themselves have become very digitalized. And so to some extent, the question is, how do we differentiate? We can differentiate with our very high touch value proposition, but that is of course expensive, and that will continue to be very important to a bank in any case. But we're seeing that there's this ecosystem that's flourishing around the bank where traditionally a bank would not operate. And that might be platforms that perhaps have regulatory licenses from the FCA or from the MAS in being brokerages, remittances, advisory type licenses, so not just limited to banking services. We're seeing ecosystems around digital assets emerge, the whole hype around tokenization and crypto and everything Web 3.0. We have small and medium businesses in much of the emerging markets that are looking to secure financing for their trade and for their supply chain. And how do we perhaps enable that? And then lastly, also a core kind of theme is just around sustainability and inclusion, just saying, well, how do we broaden the financial ecosystem and perhaps go into those domains where a bank like ours does not traditionally operate? And so what you'll find is that the activities, both investment related as well as venture building related, look to complement the bank. And let's be honest, ultimately what we're doing is we're kind of hedging ourselves. We're somewhat diversifying the revenue streams. We're growing new revenue streams that perhaps previously we hadn't thought about. And ultimately that translates into share price and market cap, because the bank is not just a bank anymore. It's a larger organization of obviously core banking capabilities and a very sticky ecosystem around it that enables many more of these new economies to flourish.
And for any startup founders that might be listening to our conversation around the world, and maybe they're interested in appearing on your radar. The big question has to be, how do you identify those disruptive business models and technologies that SV Ventures, that SC Ventures invests in or co-creates with? And is there any particular criteria or benchmarks that you use in doing that?
Certainly, I think we have to be smart about it and demonstrate that we're also good capital allocators. We have our fund, which of course has a kind of ring-fenced LPGP structure, so it has more of a mandate to look at really what are those technologies and those platforms that we believe will be successful in future, not just because they can solve a business problem for our bank, but also for the larger kind of ecosystem out there. If we look at key themes, and those are the online economy and lifestyle, such as digital banks and embedded finance. We've got digital assets, which stands in their own segment. SME and World Trade is really about the ability for businesses to flourish, and then sustainability and inclusion really says there are opportunities where there's untapped market segments, effectively blue oceans that we'd like to go into. And what is the criteria? The key criteria, I think, would be play to our strengths as a bank. What that means is let's look at those opportunities adjacent to banking. The bank's full of amazing, smart people and domain experts in things like regulation, compliance, finance, legal. And these expertise are kind of expensive to come by if you're just out in the open startup ecosystem. We happen to have these people, these peers just at arm's reach within the bank. And so leveraging that know-how and building on that knowledge, we're able to then say, let's build these ecosystems adjacent to bank. We're not in medical technology or educational technology or manufacturing or logistics, right? We are in financial services, but there's still a large opportunity in the market globally, and especially the emerging markets even more so, where we as a bank can go beyond just being a bank and enable those economies, those ecosystems to thrive.
And I'm curious, as someone that's right in the heart of this space and probably having conversations with so many different founders, etc., are there any emerging trends that you're seeing in the VC landscape, particularly around the financial sector and FinTech, etc.?
I think from where we're looking from a tech perspective, we're definitely optimistic about blockchain, and we're seeing opportunities for us to invest in such use cases. I think the infrastructure is very important and key. It's here to stay. And so that speaks to tokenization and NFTs.
Yeah.
A big hype in the market today is certainly AI. And so that's another trend that's going to continue growing. And it obviously plays right into productivity and kind of efficiency gains for any organization. So you could think of anything from document processing to writing assistance, augmenting the staff. And so making us better at what we do. And a big area that we're excited about is also the potential for quantum computing. So these opportunities that lie within quantum will perhaps be a double-edged sword, because on the one side, there's this massive ability to improve our portfolio simulations and risk modeling. On the other side, of course, it could potentially break all of our encryption and security mechanisms, and that is something we're paying close attention to.
Fantastic. And a few moments I was saying that there could be a lot of startup founders listening. So when it comes to a FinTech looking for venture capital, what should they be considering when choosing a firm to partner with? Is there any tips or advice or insights you can share around that?
Certainly. I think I've also been there. And I think one of my key tips would be that your board members specifically should be adding value, right? They should be doing introductions. They should bring a certain credibility. They should be introducing to VCs. And I think fintechs themselves should be looking at that non-tangible value. And that also means, for instance, what type of rigor or perhaps kind of improved operating cadence could be brought to a startup, very often built by a young team, really just focusing on product and product market fit. And of course, that is front and center. But as you're growing the business, you want to demonstrate and actually internally also just operate at a higher level. So, I mean, in this case, what goes for SC Ventures is also kind of goes without saying, is that we as a corporate venture builder bring a lot of that capability. and that perhaps naturally by the type of environment that we are, is build higher quality startups. That there's trade-offs in terms of that, with speed and perhaps let's say completeness, but certainly the net result we think will be more long-term sustainable and more robust startups, which is kind of what peers in our industry also look to when kind of partnering or working with the type of fintechs that we're spinning up and spinning out.
And of course, there has been a huge downturn in fintech funding on a global basis, and there is now a much, much stronger focus on things like ROI and what business value are we creating here from any tech project or tech company. So how does SC Ventures ensure that your portfolio of companies add that intrinsic material value to the bank's ecosystem? And I'm not sure if you're able to share anything here, but are you able to share any example of maybe a successful integration just to bring everything that we're talking about to life here?
It's a very important question, Neil. Yeah. And I think for the audience to really appreciate that, of course, we can't just be an innovation arm having fun on the side, right? It really has to align to some sort of central strategy. It is also, I think, the reason why we've tried to elevate the visibility and the importance of SC Ventures, and myself in this technology role, wanting to also make sure that our ventures demonstrate that technology edge and capitalize on that. And so, we really look to partner with innovative, fast-growing, technology-focused companies that can accelerate this transformation. For us as a bank, that means, we have internal business processes. We've got robotic process automation. We've got process mining. We have KYC and AML processes that are very, very core to our banking services. But how do we make those better? How do we keep on improving on those? An example is we invested in Silent8, which is a financial crime compliance company. And so as SC Ventures was their first client, we helped really shape their product. And so since helped them scale across 40 jurisdictions. And what that really demonstrates is that both do we bring the know-how into how to positively influence the startup, but also help them establish a certain credibility that allows them to secure contracts with other FIs. Maybe to reflect on a second example where we did a co-creation with one of the larger MNCs, or multinationals for that matter, and together we built this startup called TAS Connect, which is a supply chain financing platform. Now this was external to bank, but the TAS Connect integrates with the bank, sends trade finance to StanChart and other participating banks, so it's a market neutral platform, and thereby again demonstrates that not only is it kind of bank agnostic, but through the linkage with SC and other banks has been able to significantly grow its volume. And something we put out there publicly is in the first 12 months, it transacted around $9 billion worth of supply chain accounts payable transactions. And that's a huge feat for a 18-month-old startup that we built in-house.
Well, if I was to ask you to look ahead as well, we are scarily only 4 months away from 2024, which is just insane thinking about it and saying that out loud. But what are the grand ambitions of the bank, and how will SC Ventures play a part in realising some of those ambitions? I appreciate you might be locked down as to what you can share about the road ahead, but is there anything you can share around any particular technologies or business models that you're excited about?
It's always good to be forward-looking. I think we've got to be open to a bit of the uncertainty, both macro and as what we're doing at Standard Chartered Ventures. Our grand ambitions for the bank has always been to help people and businesses prosper. Right? One of our core mantras within the bank is a statement along the lines of "here for good." And so I think by Standard Chartered's heritage, no bank is quite like us. We have a very interesting footprint. We've got what we call the network, which really enables us to do business across these many geographies. And so we sit at an interesting intersection where we're both local in many markets and a recognized brand. We're very much international, and we're definitely a challenger bank. And I think that's part of the DNA. For StanChart, of course, with its geographical footprint, this enables the flow of money. Right? We enable trade across corridors. We have a large client base in the wealth and affluent segment. And we are well positioned in what really are the growth markets of today, right? Emerging Asia, there's kind of the frontier markets in Africa, and then there's kind of currently up and coming Middle East, which is really, really thriving. And so by having this kind of presence connected to Europe and America, we kind of straddle the world. I guess it is true that it is hard to do business in many of these markets, right? Many of them are resource-based, many of them are still really trying to grow a middle class and then develop into service-based economies. But what we really look to do is do this safely as a well-regulated financial institution. And in terms of technology, I think that at this juncture, AI is interesting. I mean, AI has been here for a while, and machine learning models are not new. What ChatGPT or GPT more generally have done is brought that to the forefront. We've been playing with our own AI models, as in taking open source models such as Llama and Koala and Alpaca and others, and testing these models and seeing how they perform. We're evaluating, can we perhaps self-train models, or do we rather take large language models out there and augment them with embeddings and vector databases and other type of infrastructure services, cognitive services, maybe Azure OpenAI services, in order then to allow staff as well as our ventures to leverage those AI capabilities. And so there's lots of conversations in that space. So I'm quite excited about that, because as we look forward, we know we've got to have more infrastructure, we've got to have access to GPUs, we're not sure if we're going to really buy it and build and invest in that ourselves, or if we should look at cloud capabilities and simply distribute that workload externally to bank. But that whole AI space and all the technology layers as well as the infrastructure layers that go with it are critically important at this stage. And I look at it this way, Neil. When we look at AI today, we always think of there's some sentient being or something very intelligent that has been developed with some mystique. What we're understanding now is that it's really much more within reach. But there's three aspects that we need to solve for. One is, what is the business case and the driver for that? The second is, what is the model or the models that come together to enable that business case? And then underlying the model is really, what does that infrastructure look like? I'm really talking about data lakes, lake houses, vector databases, and other type of compute infrastructure. And you've got to have these three layers, kind of both bottom up and top down, in order then to enable the business to accelerate. If you just have a lot of use cases, but you don't have the models or the infrastructure, you're going to struggle to execute. If we look at it from the infrastructure side, we can spend a lot of money on building infrastructure, but we might not have the business having figured out exactly the use cases or the models they want to use. And so that's kind of exciting and keeps me up at night. And I get quite hands-on with some of these technologies myself. But I think we're going to be seeing more of that in the next 12, 24 months anyway.
Love that. And I am conscious, though, that when we're talking about technology and emerging technologies, it's easy to get carried away with bringing those future ambitions to life, but we seldom stop to appreciate just how far we've come in life or indeed in business. And the reality is that none of us are able to achieve success without a little help along the way. So I'm going to ask you now to look backwards at the end of this podcast. So is there a particular person that you're grateful towards who maybe saw something in you, invested a little time in you and helped you get where you are today that we can give a little shout out to?
That's a wonderful question. I really appreciate the kind of heartfelt side to that. I think first off, our SC Ventures leadership team has done phenomenally well in really bringing SCV to where it is today. Right, we're kind of just over 5 years into this journey. It might sound long, but in the life of any type of business, it's actually quite short. Our kind of champion, Alex Manson, has really been phenomenal in both his thoughtfulness and his kind of clarity in the strategy that he's having us all align on and execute. And I really give credit to him for being very forward-looking and having set up this structure with obviously the other leadership team members to be really entrepreneurship, investment, and venture building focused. Maybe for kind of a broader type appreciation to the people who've come along our journey, the good peers that have come along this journey, is really the many technologists I deal with, right? We have, I could say right now, 25 ventures that are actively building technology. Some of them already published and publicly visible on our website, but some of the others still in stealth. But out of that portfolio of 25, together with all the technologists ranging from CTOs and the head of engineers to back-end, front-end, QA and Scrum Masters and project managers, we have about 660 people engaged in this venture building activity. And so that's quite a scale. And they're all really trying, they're really working hard, they're really putting in a lot of effort to realize these ventures. And so I'd say it's really a team effort. I really enjoy the kind of the platform that we've been able to put together, obviously augmented by vendors. We've got great partners that we work with. They've invested in us. They've come along this journey with us. But it is a larger, how should I say, team effort to deliver the technology and the kind of innovation that we need to build successful ventures. And that's, I think I'd extend my gratitude to everybody who's supported us along this journey.
I think that's a beautiful moment to finish the podcast on today. But we have talked about so much. And for anyone listening that would like to find out more information on any of the topics we explored today and keep up to speed with developments at SC Ventures, where's the best place for people to find you online, contact your team, or just find out more information? Where would you like to point everyone?
Yeah, so Neil, I definitely want to suggest the easiest point of contact will be the SC Ventures IO website. It's really where we showcase what we've achieved. We've got our ventures, the ones that we've spun out and are already public on there too. And there are various references to how to best get in touch with us. And it's really an opportunity for FinTechs to sign up to our FinTech Bridge, which is our community website in which we foster that ecosystem of FinTechs to connect with us, to collaborate with us, and participate in challenges where we are trying to solve strategic problems for the bank. It is also where individuals can reach out to us if they want to participate and engage with us in any form of capacity. And of course, we'd always appreciate any visibility and communication that we can put through our platform to the audience at large. So just to repeat that would be the scventures.io website.
Well, I've loved chatting with you today about the emerging trends in the venture capital landscape, the value of investing in new technologies and novel business models, and also learning more about what you're doing here as an investor, builder and accelerator. And the thing that really excites me is how your remit extends far beyond mere investments, and just learning more about exactly how you are balancing that mission as a venture capitalist and a venture builder while also driving ambitions of the bank with technology at the heart of it all. Absolutely gold for me, but a big thank you for taking the time to sit down with me, share your insights, story, and so much more. Thanks for joining me today.
Neil, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Wow. I think we really explored that fascinating intersection of venture capitalism, fintech innovation, and corporate incubation. So a huge thank you to Thorsten for letting us have a little glimpse into his world. I just wanted to point out that in the interview there, Thorsten mentioned that Task Connect transacted about 9 billion worth of supply chain accounts. But having spoken with the team there, Task Connect actually achieved over $10 billion in gross transaction volume, not 9. Absolutely phenomenal. And for me, I think it's incredibly enlightening to see how SC Ventures is not just investing, but also building and accelerating the implementation of promising fintech solutions within that standard chartered ecosystem. That is where things quickly get exciting for me. And I think Thorsten's insights into the emerging trends in the venture capital landscape are almost a beacon for tech startups seeking that right venture capital firm. And I think it's also important to remember that great companies often emerge from the most challenging times. But as always, I'm going to continue to bring you enlightening stories from the tech world and the business world, uncovering how it's not just changing our lives, but helping reshape our future for the better. But until the next episode, this is Neil C. Hughes, your host of Tech Talks Daily, signing off for the day. Stay curious, stay inspired, keep exploring that transformative power of technology. But more than anything, thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.